Hello, welcome to Quadrant 2 Project Management. I'm Kurt Bell, your Q2PM for today, and today we're going to be talking about testing. So, a very important operation that needs to be done, and we've got some tools that I think can help you out. So let's pop right into the screen. So what you're looking at here is our template site. Let me make that just a little bit bigger right there. And Ikram, as you know, of course, every project has some sort of tests that need to be done, right? So, for example, when you do testing on your projects, how do you typically keep track of what test needs to be done and who's done it?
So normally we are using Excel, right? So we log what the issues are, who tested it, when it was tested, what were the results, feedback, and if it needs to be followed up again, or
Excellent. So, yeah, Excel's a great spreadsheet, a great tool for that, right? You can simply list whatever test protocols need to be done, assign it to somebody, and then have your comments and status.
Yes, but you're missing the part where you can assign action items in Excel.
Yeah.
And maybe a notification and stuff. So that part is missing from Excel.
There you go. Thank you. It's almost like you were a plant. That's exactly what we can do with SharePoint that might not be as easy to do in other tools. So what we're looking at right now, of course, is our template site for a blank project. And we have all of our various tools listed down here, including our logs and status and the like. And there's one in particular that I want to show you, which is testing. Let's go ahead and click on that. This is just, what do you think? Is this a list or a library, Ikram? What do you think?
It's a library.
Well, library, let's take a look. We'll click on new, and
it's a list.
It's a list, yes, a list, right, exactly. A library, of course, would have objects in it.
Yes.
This is simply adding items just like to a spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
So it opened up and it was blank, and when I clicked on new, the first thing it's asking me is for some information about a test item. So let's follow the example that Ikram gave, and let's say that we're building an application, and that application is going to do a certain thing. Maybe we're going to use that application to do hotel reservations or something like that, right? And it comes time to test it. We have our first release, and we're going to record some of the things that we're going to do. And I simply go into the test page, click on the new. Let me do that again. Just go in, and it's completely blank right now, and we can see some titles or some columns along the side here. The first one has the ID column, the title of the test, its due date, who the test owner was, what the test completion date was, what the result was, and the test state. The test state means that it's open, it's reassigned, ready for recheck, or closed. Actually, I didn't quite say those names right. We'll see them in just a second. But what I typically do is I wait until I'm in a project till we reach the point that we have enough work done. The developer and the database administrator have done enough work that we actually have something that we're ready to test. And of course, we typically do our tests in UAT, our smoke test, UAT, and pilot. So you can break this out accordingly, but let's just make it real simple. Let's just say we're going to come up with our smoke test, and that is some basic functionality to test that this thing is ready to show to our customer. To begin listing those things, I would bring together the team, the internal team, the database administrator and the application developer, and I would say, okay guys, let's talk about some tests. Or you could assign this to somebody. You could, a good person to assign this to is the actual application developer who knows the app, and they may already have some ideas about what needs to be tested. So when you click on new, it's going to ask us to fill out some information. So let's pick.
A quick question.
Yeah, sure, Ikram.
So this is like a test plan which we are creating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. We're going to actually list item by item everything that needs to be tested.
Okay.
And then we can use the SharePoint group capability to group the items into different feature sets. And then we can also use the views to segregate them into different release phases. And I'll show you that in just a moment with some other projects. So the very first thing that we're probably going to do if we're doing a smoke test, which is just the most basic, push the start button, does it start up, and does smoke come out of the back? Hopefully it doesn't. So the first thing we're going to do is start the app. That's the name of our first test, right? And a test description is click on the applications icon and confirm that the program loads, right? That's all we're going to do. So we've got a button, we push on the button, does the darn thing load up or does it error out? The test procedure is step 1. Step 01. Locate application icon. Yep. Step 2. Double click on the icon. Step 3. Confirm that the app loads without error. That's all we need to do for this first thing. Just find it, double click on it, make sure it loads, and doesn't error out. Let me make that just a little bit bigger here. So, and then we'll get to that. Yep, that's just a little further down here, right? So the next thing is expected result, right? So what do we expect to see? The tester should be able to locate the app's icon on the desktop. Maybe when it installs, it places an app on an icon on the desktop. Desktop. Run the application and see the loaded app's home screen, or whatever you might call that. Right? You get the idea. Home screen. Let's put a hyphen in there. That's what we expect to see.
Okay.
Now see, this is something you could actually give the developer a chance to do. Ask the developer, go away for a day, write up this kind of stuff. And that's all they would need to do is just kind of tell me this is, and they want somebody else to check it other than them, right? So we have the title, the description, the procedure, and the expected result. Now, down here, we're going to identify the owner. The owner is the person that's going to be responsible to make sure this gets done. And I'm going to go ahead and assign this to myself. Oops, put my cursor in the right screen. Kurt. There I am. So I'll go ahead and assign this to myself. Now, assigned testers. What's the difference between the owner and the tester? Well, the owner may be, for example, a supervisor in a unit who's going to test that it's done, but he or she may then give that job to a subject matter expert to actually do the work. The owner is just the person that's going to be responsible to make sure that it get her done, as they say, right? So maybe I'm going to assign that to Mr. Gary, there he is, Mr. Gary Fortune, who's actually a supervisor, so it should be the other way around. He should be assigning it to me. But you get the idea? And you can have more than one, right? Let's give it to this guy too. So we've identified 2 testers. Maybe we want to make sure that both of them confirm that it works. And a due date. Let's go ahead and pick a date. Let's give ourselves a week to October 22nd. And that's all we need at this point. When I click on save, it then creates the item, start the app. It gives us a due date and it signs the owner. Now what I would do if I was with the team, I would just brainstorm this through. Maybe we would, in half an hour, we would come up with 6 or 7 items, list them all out, and then the owners. And then we say, go forth and prosper, and next week when we come back, I want to see some results. The goal is to get all of these into a state where the test result says, pass, 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 pass. Now let's fast forward a little bit, and imagine that I'm the owner, and I'm going to perform this test. So I've given it the task to Lyle and Gary, and they've come back with some results. So I click on the item, and by the way, you can assign these out, so the actual person who owns this can make the updates themselves. The project manager doesn't necessarily have to do that. I open it up, click on Edit All, and let's say that they gave it a try, and they found a problem. Maybe when it loaded, it went to the an error screen when it loaded. So we're going to say the test state was see tester comment. Right? The options are complete, ready for retesting, unresolved, see developer comment, see tester comment. You see how we can ping pong the thing back and forth between the various people? So we're going to say see tester comment. And the no test completion date, because we're not done with this, and I'm going to put this in a fail state. The test did fail, and the comment will be, the application failed to load with a long alphanumeric text string error, okay? And see screenshot, okay? So maybe as the tester, it errored out when one of those big alphanumeric strings, and I captured that screenshot, and I went ahead and uploaded it. See, there's an attachment page? So I'm going to go ahead and upload that right there if I want to. You can upload anything you want. So I could upload that document right there. Here's the comment. And by the way, if you want to, you can assign it to a particular release. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. I'm going to go ahead and assign this to release 1. Okay, that will then segregate all of the tests that we're doing into the release 1 testing. So if you're doing more of an agile type of development and you're going to have, you know, sprints, you could also assign these. This could be sprint 1.
So you can change the label and the field.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
One question.
Sure.
When you save this test plan for the first time, you assign it to 2 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might have received an email or notification when we saved, or we have to do it manually?
That is a great question, Nikram. SharePoint has that capability in the form of workflows. So there are 2 types of workflows you can use. There's an embedded SharePoint workflow that you can use, that you can run from the SharePoint site. There's also Microsoft Flow that you can, which is a separate application that you can configure to do just what you described, so that when I submit it, it fires off an email to Lyle and Gary and says, you've been assigned a piece of work.
Right.
And they have to do it. Neither of those are set up here.
Okay.
But you can do that.
Got it.
The one caveat though, if you use the Microsoft Flow, the free version of the Flow only includes like 600 flows a month, which sounds like a lot, but you can consume those very quickly if you have a lot of active projects going on. Every time it runs, that would have been 2 flows that it ran.
Yes.
Okay, click on save, but the one that comes with SharePoint, that one's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay, now, so we've just saved that. Now you can see that we have the app and it's in a fail state. Right? And see tester comment, right? So what it can do now is, let's say we had 5 different tests set up. As the developer, he or she could just log into the application and refresh the page and see that, oh, we have something that with a tester comment. Now let's say that she decides that, she goes in and she sees the comment and she recognizes the problem and fixes it. Then she simply clicks on the item again, edit all, and you'll notice that the comment down here is, there it is, it's stored with a date and time stamp.
Oh, that's good. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it's not appended, so it's going to start telling a story. And I didn't have to add the date and time stamp. SharePoint figured that out. So I'm the developer, and I went ahead and made a change, right? So I'm going to say, thank you for testing and noting this error. I have made a fix. Please retest. Okay? And I'm going to put this from see tester comment to ready for retesting. Okay? Go ahead and click on save. There we go. Ready for retest. Right? And so
the testers will still say fail?
The test still says fail until the tester says, the tester's the one that gets to tell us it's success. So it's still open. So now the tester goes in and maybe she tests it again, and this time it works. So you can go back here, here's our comments, right? The first one, the application failed to load with a long alphanumeric text string, see screenshot. Here's the screenshot would be down here. Thank you for testing and noting this error. I have made the fix. Please retest. Let's go ahead and edit that. And the tester tries it, and now it works. Okay, so the tester says, tested and worked as expected. Placed in pass state. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that as passed. And I'm going to add a test completion date of today. And I think that's all I need to do. Yes, good. Good. There, now we have a test that's in pass state. Oh, I could ready for retesting. I could probably change that. I forgot to do that. I knew I was forgetting something. Let's see. See, test date should be complete. There. So we have this item is complete and good. Now, of course, you can use filters to just say only show me items that are grouped by fail or whatever you want to see. So you can just, if you have a lot of tests, you can filter out and just focus on the ones that need help. I use this in my team meetings. I'll get the whole team in there and we'll bring it up, and I'll have the developer and the tester on their computers, and they're bang, 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 fixing things right and left. We're knocking them right out. So that's your basic test tool that you have with your SharePoint site. Wow, we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. Before we finish though, I want to show you two things. One, you can export to Excel. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. So let's go ahead and open that up. So whatever you've got in your test that you said you use Excel, if you wanted to export that out, you can indeed do so. We'll see how that looks with just the single test on there. There we go. There's that. Whoop, there's the test for that one item. Now that's nice for later if you want to have a report to share of what you did. Now, before we, yes, sir.
Put the filters automatically.
Yes, it applies the filters automatically. Yep. Now, before we close, though, I want to show you a couple of projects where I've used this in the past. The first of these is a completed project. This is called the IHSS Ticketing System project, where we created an application to act as a call center ticketing app. So when people in the public called into the Department of Social Services, in-home supportive services, they called in at one phone number. There was a bank of 15 receptionists that could answer the phone, and then listen to what the person said and assign the ticket to someone to do the work. So this was the project that we created. We could have 4 phases here, and you'll notice that over here we had our UAT tests. Let's go ahead and I changed the name slightly. Let's open that up. These are all of the tests that we did for the UAT phase of the project.
One question.
Yes, sir.
The ID, was that assigned to automatically or?
Automatically generated.
Okay.
Yes. So these are everything we did for the UAT phase. What that means, of course, is we had the UAT phase where the application was ready to go. The smoke test the developer did on their own. The UAT, we identified these items. Once the UAT was done, we were ready to go to pilot. You can see we had a pilot log over here. It was a little bit different. But this was our UAT. The thing to note, of course, is, make that a little bigger, over here under test results, pass, 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 pass. Everything passed, right? We weren't ready to go to pilot until everything was in a pass state. And let's take a look at just one of these. You can see that the first one here, new ticket, it was due on 8/17/2018. It was assigned to Mr. Gervais Hammond, and it's in a pass state. Let's open it up. New ticket, create, assign a new ticket, item description, activities related to the creation and management of new tickets. And here's the test procedure. Now you can see it goes on and on, right? But it doesn't show you everything. You have to click on see more to see all the stuff, the details of the test procedure. The expected result was that all functions should operate and complete in a clear and reasonable manner. It was assigned to Gervais. And there were no, in this particular project, we didn't have anybody else. It was just you do it, you're assigned, you do it. Okay, and he didn't record the test date, but he did record it as in a pass. And look at this. This is really interesting. This is a note from Mr. Ulenicott, who is a deputy director. So he came in and he said, I spent some time in the test application this afternoon. Really great stuff. I am excited. But that's really interesting. That tells us that others can add notes as well. Yeah. This is nice that our sponsor actually liked the app. You can see we added some fields of our own, including URL, because it was a web-based application, so we had URLs to particular target pages. That's it for that. Let's take a look at another project. This is the DPSS Foster Care Provider Portal project. This particular, oh, did I forget something here? I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, look, it just got release 1. Oh, these are all release 1. Here, this one ought to be different. Okay, this is the DPSS Foster Care Provider Portal application, and this one we're currently developing. And you can see that we've already completed Sprint 1, this long line here, and we completed Sprint 2. We're currently working on Sprint 3. So this is an application we're using the Agile methodology to develop. So when I go to the test page, we should be able to segregate the tests into these 2 separate sprints. Let's take a look. Under testing, sorry Ikram, that's a little hard to see. Now initially it's going to show us everything, because under here, under the filter, it says all items, right? Now I can click on all items and we're going to break this off. I can say, show me what's in release 5, 4, 1, 6, whatever the case may be. Now we know that only 1 and 2 are complete. So if I click on release 1, it's going to filter the view to just show me the test protocols for that initial release. And you can see that we use groups to break the testing into test types.
Okay.
We had 14 tests for user accounts, 15 tests for report placement, 7 for payment concerns, 8 for monthly reports, and 1 for the activity log.
And they're all for release 1.
All of this is for release 1. Right, exactly. So you can see a total of, well, I can't do the math in my head, but that's about 30, 40 actual tests for release 1. And what's really nice is that I think, hopefully, don't give me a black eye, everything's in a pass state. So as a project manager, oh wait, there's one item there that's in a fail state. Let's take a look at that. Why is that showing in a fail state? Facility name, type, display count, due date, complete, all in process. Darla indicates this should be done by tomorrow. So it is marked as complete.
Oh.
Okay.
They probably forgot to change the status.
Yeah, whoever did it, they marked it complete, but they just didn't update the status. And you can see that indeed there was a lot of activity going on here. But this is indeed a black eye for me as a project manager, because I should not have allowed the project to proceed with anything that was in a fail state. Normally I'm very diligent about that, but that one slipped my attention. Now let's go ahead and make that just a little smaller. I want to show you now. Let's go to release. So here, take a look at that. So that's what our profile looks like for release 1. Now let's take a look at release 2. That's all we had for release 2. All we were focused on was news and alerts, and so it only had 15 items there versus what, about almost 40 for release 1. And hopefully these are all in pass. Pass, 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 pass. Yeah, they're all pass. Good. And typically we don't get to move on until it's all done. Let's go ahead and take a look at one right here, the access news and alerts. Open that up. Access news and alerts. Test description. Access the news and alerts page. Test procedure. From the Foster Care Provider Portal homepage, select News and Alerts from the navigation menu. Expected result. News and Alerts page appears and defaults to email alerts. Test owner, Carla. Look at that. Carla assigned this to 4 people, 4 people including herself. So what she can, that's the beauty of this one item here, right? Not just have one subject matter expert do it, but have your whole team check it out. And it was due on July 2nd of this year. It is in a complete state. It was completed by by that date. It's in a pass state. And look at all the activity. I don't know what she was doing on here. She was testing and marking stuff and oh, here, device status. Oh, this time we really broke it down. We had statuses for desktop, status for phone. We were testing on both. Now it's interesting that she says she probably just forgot to change that as well. I think that that's got, let's just open that up and see. I think this has got a rather complex matrix of options here. Yeah, see all these? So she just didn't uncheck the checkbox for that. That's one of the things, if I could improve this, I would probably have it, I would like to improve it in such a way that you can't mark, there'd have some logic or some intelligence that you can't mark it as pass until these things are all logically sound.
Right.
But do you see how, we didn't see this on the original one, on anything, right?
Yeah.
That's, you have this power. You can adjust this list any way you want.
This is a custom checkbox.
Yeah, yeah. And we customized it to do it. And I didn't do this. The actual team did this. They figured this out. And I'm going to show you one more. And then we're way over time, and then we'll be done with this. So that is for the foster care provider portal. Oh, and we are now, if you look on here on the provider portal, we are in Sprint 3 right now. Let's just see if there's anything for Sprint 3. I don't think so. If I testing, show me our Sprint 3 tests. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. Sprint 3, this should be nothing in there. There's nothing in there. So that's because she's still developing. As soon as we get further, we'll add items. Last one I want to show you is the DPSS placement app. So this particular project, we are ready to start testing. We have already developed a few items we need to test. If I go to the test page, you're going to see a pretty simple list. There it is, a list of 6 items. Sorry, that's a little hard to see. Let me make that a little bigger. We've named the items, given them a due date. Juan is going to be responsible for everything. Everything is an unresolved state. That's because we actually haven't begun the tests. And there are no breakdown. I don't think there's anything for any of these other releases. This is our first group. Just click on the first one. And this is actually one where I wasn't even involved in this. Juan did everything. He went ahead and listed everything out, expecting result. Oh, look, he assigned it to test owner, but he assigned it to himself and me to actually do the work. And that's it. Now, the benefit to doing it this way, of course, is that it's a very methodical approach. It allows you to have just to open and close things, and most importantly, 2 most important things, it allows you to assign it to the subject matter experts and then have a communication stream back and forth. Yeah, our developer for that one project, she would log in every day and look for anything that said ready for or unresolved issue and work on that, and likewise the rest of the team. I was hands off as a project manager. I just watched them. It was like watching a tennis match. I just made sure that they all said pass.
Yeah.
And that is about that. And of course, then you can export. And then the other thing, Ikram, of course, is you've got this forever, right? Now we have a record of what we did, and the peace of mind that comes from having the team said, yep, this is everything that needs to test, and we tested it all. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us again for another episode of Quadrant 2 Project Manager. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send an email to me, kbell@rivco.org. It's going across the bottom of the screen. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions about possible employment in County of Riverside. We're always happy to talk to good PM candidates. Remember, take care and make every meeting matter.